Alright guys, it's Chatterbox Reviews, coming at you guys with Salvation, Season 1, Episode 12, Review. Alright, so this episode was pretty good. I actually thought it was a really good episode, to be honest. One of the best ones of this season so far. Yeah, I thought like the way some of the storylines were wrapped up a little bit. We got a lot of answers in this one as well, and sort of progressed the storyline a little bit. Definitely better than last week's episode, for sure, right? But yeah, it wasn't perfect or anything like that. It wasn't like amazingly great. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good, for the way that the recent episodes have been going. So yeah, so I thought episode 9 was very good. I think that's sort of the best one so far. But yeah. So anyways, yeah, just a recap, and then I'll give my thoughts, and with a rating and stuff like that at the end. And yeah, so I apologize for this one being a day late. Some came up yesterday, so I wasn't able to get to the review. But today it is up, and Zoo should be up after this. But if not, you can expect to see it on, I think, Monday or Tuesday, just because going away for the weekend. So without further ado, let's get into this. So basically the episode opens up showing us this small asteroid in space, kind of floating around, and then all of a sudden we see this huge one, right? And we kind of can infer that that's the Samson asteroid there. And basically this small asteroid then connects with it, and actually like hits it head on. But the asteroid kind of like bounces off, right? Like it's like nothing, right? It does no damage to the big asteroid Samson. And yeah, it just sort of like breaks up and doesn't do anything. So I also thought the effects of that was really well done. It did look like pretty damn real. I thought that was really well done. Compared to some of the effects earlier this season, haven't been that good, right? I thought this was pretty well done compared to some of those. And yeah, so then after we kind of get a little bit of explanation, we kind of we saw it, and then we kind of see when they see it, their reactions to it, sort of thing. So I like the way they did that, the way they opened up with that. That was good. So then Liam shows Darius what happened with the small asteroid and Samson, and they basically figure out that the specs that they thought they knew about Samson could be wrong this whole time, because that it shouldn't be possible or whatever. It was like a 0.000% 1% chance of a small asteroid connecting with Samson, and it should have at least done a little bit of damage to it, right? If it has the specs that they thought it had. So obviously something is wrong here, and they have to try to figure out what's going on. So that's a cool little plot twist sort of thing there that they added this episode. I thought that was well done, because outside of the whole president thing, there's really nothing else going on with space before this episode, right? So I felt like that was a good storyline change there to kind of make it a little bit more interesting again. So then Grace wakes up in the middle of the night, and someone's at her door. And yeah, I don't know, it's kind of a funny scene, but I also understand it because it was just like 2 episodes ago that she almost got killed, and she ended up killing that guy in her house. So obviously she's a little bit paranoid. So she pulls out her gun right away and points at her door, and it's her daughter Zoe. So I don't know, I thought this was obvious that it was Zoe. I think maybe they meant for us to think that as well. But I knew it was going to be Zoe, like, ever since I heard that door go, right? So good to see her again, of course, to see her come back to the house. Of course, Grace, emotionally, wasn't too stable without her. So, that's really good. And then Harris also comes over a little bit later, and they're kind of all sitting there, and Zoe tells him that Dylan didn't make it in the resist hacking, like that factory explosion. So I don't know, I thought this was weird. I thought the way they made it out last episode, Harris didn't seem fazed by it or anything, so they kind of made it out like Dylan escaped and he got away. right? So I don't really know what this is all about. I'm not sure if Zoe's, telling the truth. She may even be lying to them so that, Dylan can hide away somewhere and then maybe he'll come back later and do something. So I don't know, but I just don't really buy it. I don't buy that he was there. Why he seemed sincere last episode, so why would he not try to get out in time for this explosion? I don't know. It just doesn't seem real to me. So I thought that was a little bit of a weird thing. But yeah, I think he's still alive, in my opinion. And I also just want to mention, like, Harris didn't seem as remorseful as he should, really. I mean, like, his son, yes, they didn't have the best relationship. His son was, a hacker and did all these bad things, but he just, like, I mean, he was upset, I think, visually upset, right? And said, like, thanks for telling me and stuff. But then a few seconds later, he's, like, talking about their plans and everything. So, I don't know. I thought it was just kind of a little phony that he would, react that way to his own son dying. But, that's just what that is, I guess. So, yeah. I'm not sure, again, if that's Ian Anthony Dale, the actor, or if that's, the writing saying, do this, but then, you have a line here. So, like, yeah, it would be hard even for Ian Anthony Dale to do, right? Even if he, is an Oscar award-winning actor, right? If you have, that sort of writing like that, well, obviously they could, but you know what I mean? Like a good actor, hard to do. So, anyways, then Darius meets with Grace and Harris, and this is all taking place on the same night, right, at 3 in the morning or something. And basically, Darius tells them that this event with the smaller asteroid hitting Samson suggests that Samson actually has an iron core and is much denser than they thought originally. So basically, it confirms that the gravity tractor, when it makes contact with Samson, would not do any damage. So, obviously the government's whole plan here, is to hit it and then break it into pieces. And then, of course, that'll hit Russia and the other eastern countries. So, yeah. So, now knowing that it probably won't do any damage is obviously pretty crazy. And the plan definitely will fail miserably, right? So Harris tells Darius about the new president. He tells him, what's going on with them, about Bennett and how he's, corrupt and everything. So Darius now knows, and he's in on it as well. And then the three kind of band together, and they kind of team up here, and they say they'll do whatever it takes to stop this new government and Bennett in particular of taking over the country almost, and also trying to hit this asteroid. So and it won't work. So yeah, really interesting there. And I like this quote by Darius, and he said, "Let's take these bastards down." So that was good. I like that little line there, and yeah, so that'll be interesting. I don't know, I found this a little bit repetitive though, because I feel like Harris asked Grace last episode, I think, if you're in or something. She said yes, we'll do whatever it takes, and then they kind of had the same scene this week, only Darius was there and then he agreed. So I don't know, I just felt a little bit repetitive, but like, let's actually get them then, right? After you have two conversations, let's actually get them instead of saying, are you guys in on this? So that's just my opinion. But then Darius gives Liam an envelope with his personal selections for the 160 list to basically test them to see, if they're allowed to go, basically. And, of course, this next part comes a lot later in the episode, but I just thought I'd get it out of the way and mention it because it doesn't that big of a part in the show, or in the episode, sorry. So basically, all the selections get approved, and, of course, these selections are Grace, Harris, Liam, Jillian, Darius, and I think Grace's daughter, I think. So yeah, I think those were the selections. So basically, they all get approved, including Liam and Jillian, but Darius actually gets disqualified from this testing or whatever, this biological testing. So yeah, really weird. Why would he get disqualified? Obviously, hopefully we get the answer to that question next week. But yeah, that's a kind of a cliffhanger there to see what's going on with that, why he's disqualified and the rest are approved. So obviously we know that then something is wrong biologically or whatever, but I don't know. We'll have to see where that goes. But I like that storyline with Liam and Jillian. I'm not a big fan of them being together again, just like it was a while ago. But whatever. I guess they're in love. So last episode kind of, drilled that into us. But anyway, so then Amanda meets with a guy named Todd from the NSA. And basically, he tells her the speech can be decoded if she finds the book that the page numbers refer to, line, whatever, page number, line, and then, the word in the paragraph or whatever. So that's really interesting, how that, how she coded that. Thought it was pretty cool. Obviously the president doesn't want that speech to get leaked or something, and then people know, right? So, yeah, thought it was good. And then, of course, Amanda goes back to her office then, and she finds out that President Mackenzie uses the King James Bible to basically code her speech and put all like the line numbers in and all that for the words that are missing. And basically she she asks someone to see it in her office. So she assumes that other people have the copy, I guess. So yeah, that was cool. I was wondering what book they were going to use that she coded the speech with, but yeah, very interesting selection there. The Bible, kind of funny. Everyone has one of those. So, well, not everyone, but most people. So yeah, and now of course that storyline is a big one in this episode. So then Grace gets into the Samsung project room. I feel like I'm saying Samsung, like the phone, but it's Samson. I don't think it's Samson, right? It's Samson. So yeah, just just ignore that. But anyways, she gets into the project room basically as Samson, and because she gets her A4 clearance or something from Harris again. So she basically distracts this Dexter guy who we've met multiple times before. When she puts and then she puts her hand right beside Dr. Strauss's workstation, and she does this because Darius inserts a chip right in her hand that if it gets, I think, 30 centimeters within a computer, it can read all that stuff and hack into it. So then as Grace is, putting her hand there and getting all this information for Darius, and she also is talking to him on, a little earpiece or something like that to kind of work together on it. And basically the team basically there finds out that Russian submarines are coming because, they found out about, the gravity tractor now being in space without them. And, the whole thing with the small asteroid hitting Samson, right? So then Bennett walks in, the new president, of course. He walks in with Claire, and then he kind of talks to them, and then Bennett introduces himself to Grace a little bit and shakes her hand. So this was kind of cool, kind of suspenseful moment, and she reached out, shook his hand. And of course, nothing happened. He didn't even notice the chip. And when she, pulled away, the chip wasn't red anymore. So, yeah, that was good to see, for sure. Obviously they didn't notice because if he did, bad stuff would have probably happened there. But anyways, yeah. So, and then he basically asked her to prepare for the press conference, and that he's going to address the nation on this new stuff with Russia. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting there. And yeah, high stakes there, and to see Grace, basically do that for the team was great. So then Harris, Grace's dad, and his team go to this, the burial site of President Mackenzie, to see her body and hopefully get tissue samples, right? So this is a pretty messed up plan, right? But they really want to do it to find out if she was actually like poisoned and it was an induced, death, really, right? Like it wasn't just her. So her being sick. So yeah, so they go to this cemetery, and of course it's protected by all these guards, but Harris tells them to leave, and that they have a new assignment or something like that. So that's a pretty big deal, right? Harris is kind of putting his ass on the line, and with doing that, because obviously that's going to get out. So essentially they then exhume the casket from the ground. And like they did this with a big machine, like a backhoe sort of machine here at the cemetery, and it just came like out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like that just kind of like rubbed me the wrong way, right? Like that this huge machine was just there. Like how would no one hear that machine like digging up the ground and getting this casket out? I don't know. Like I just thought that was kind of weird, but anyways, so they get this casket out of the ground. Harris then, he does the honors. Grace's dad kind of warns him, right, that it's going to be bad or whatever. And he opens up the casket, and it's empty. Nobody's in there. Like there's not a dead body or anything. It's empty. So yeah, that's pretty crazy, right? So yeah, it's empty. So that means that President Mackenzie, either she died and they're keeping the body, or maybe she's still alive. And of course, we find out that she is later on. But yeah, so I like the way they did that too. They built up a lot of suspense for that scene, and then we find out that it's empty, and just creates more of a storyline here for the whole corrupt President Bennett, right? So yeah, so then we see President Bennett. He addresses the media there at the press conference, and basically we see Amanda is in the room. Now this is like another like plot hole here. Why, didn't 2 episodes ago or last episode she said that her membership or something was revoked for this press conference room or whatever? I swear that's what happened, and now she's right back in the room again and she can ask questions. So I don't know, I felt like that's a plot hole, but I don't know, I may have missed something. So could be, but yeah, I thought that was weird that she's back there. So basically she texts Grace. Grace is kind of sitting up there on the stage, and she's, in her chair, and she's texted Grace that she knows about Samson and that she will ask the president about it if she doesn't, if Grace doesn't meet with her. So obviously, Grace meets with her because, that could just create havoc, right? So Grace gets in her car, and, of course, this is the second time we've seen Grace get in her car, and they have, sort of a conversation. So thought it was well done there, showing us it again. So Grace gets in the car, and we find out, yeah, that Amanda basically knows everything now since she was able to decode this speech. She knows about the asteroid. She knows about, extinction level event, all that stuff. And Amanda, she's pretty upset about it. She can't believe, this news, and she can't believe that Grace and the rest of them are holding it out on the public. But Grace says she can't release the story, due to the, global chaos that it'll cause, right? And she's totally right. The stuff with Russia now, that would just be insane, right, for it to get out. So, yeah. So, of course, I think that gets to Amanda a little bit, right? I think she kind of second guesses herself there and really, thinks about the consequences of what she's about to do. So Grace kind of does her best, and she ends up leaving. But as she walks away from the car, we see this man in this like black SUV telling Claire over the phone that Grace is becoming a problem, and Claire tells them that they should take care of her in their way of our friend Walter Carnahan or something like that, she says. So yeah, that was, that's pretty cool. And we also mentioned that man there also mentioned that, last time or something, or I think Claire says that, like, don't do it like last time, like, make sure, we do it like Walter Carnahan. So obviously implying that Grace, was attacked by Claire and this guy, at least, or at least Bennett and Claire. So that's interesting. We know kind of who did it then. So yeah, there's definitely a creepy moment there to see this guy in the car, and obviously I think he comes back a little later. But yeah, I think this sets up next episode, and let me tell you, Grace better watch her back, because bad stuff's gonna happen here in the next episode, and there's gonna be another attempt on her life, it sounds like. So yeah, that was interesting. So then Grant gets in his truck, and Grant is Harris's friend who's on the security detail, or was, for the President Mackenzie. And basically Grant gets in his truck, and Harris holds him at gunpoint right when he gets in, and says, where is President Mackenzie's body? So Grant says he will take him to the body, and yeah, so they kind of speed off there, and he takes him, and he ends up taking him to a nuclear fallout shelter, he says. And they're kind of walking in there. They go into this room where President Mackenzie is still alive in a hospital bed, and her doctor is there that we saw before, that Harris tried to get some answers from earlier. So that was interesting, right? I mean, that was great to see, that her doctor is there, and that she's still alive, right? Like, that was a cool, really, really cool twist. I didn't see that coming at all. So yeah, Mackenzie then, tells Harris that the stroke was induced by mercury, or liquid mercury or something, that was added to her medicine secretly. So yeah, so basically she just, gradually got more sick and more sick, and then she ended up having this stroke. And the doctor then says, she's very sick, but starting to come around, right? So she's, obviously still recovering from this, and she's not, pretty, like, she's not close to being, full strength or anything like that, but, at least she's still alive, right? That's a big thing. So Harris then, of course, kind of tells them right away, he says she needs to address the nation. Like, we need to get this out that she's still alive somehow. And, of course, the doctor and Grant both, tell him, they have some reason. They say, like, we can't do that, right? Like, that would just create chaos, and she's not really ready to address the nation. I mean, she can, barely, talk and stuff. So, yeah. So, anyways, we'll have to see where that goes next episode. But I thought that was a really cool twist. I didn't see that one coming, that she would still be alive. And really great for Grant and the doctor to kind of take her out of the the casket or whatever, or not the casket, but like take her when they were having the funeral for her or whatever. So yeah, or from the hospital, I guess. So yeah, so that was very interesting. I thought that was really well done there. And I see where Harris is coming from though too, right? He that would obviously be the permanent fix for this whole Bennett thing, because she would obviously then take power of the nation again and get him out of there. So, anyways, then Liam and Darius are talking in the control room, and all of a sudden, first of all, Tess then tells them that the gravity tractor is being controlled by this aircraft carrier off the coast of Florida. So they got this location from Grace hacking the guy's computer there in the room. So now they know the location of where it's being controlled. So hopefully next episode they can go there and somehow get control or hack into there or something. That would be the goal, right? But then all of a sudden Tess starts malfunctioning a little, and kind of repeating itself, and then the lights sort of dim on and off, and then they start to figure it all out. So, they figure out that Tans has basically been hacked. And that Tess is kind of breaking down right now. And then they kind of slowly start to figure out that Resist may have put, a ghost hack or something like that in the remote, or in the program that ended up, throwing the grid of Russia off, for half an hour or whatever, in the Tans Industries, like computers. So, yeah. Really interesting. I didn't see, obviously we knew something was going to happen with Resist because, last time we saw them, how they set it up. But this is definitely an interesting twist that I didn't see. I saw it coming, but I just, it was interesting the way it happened. And yeah, so they've been hacked by Resist, and Darius goes up to the control room, basically the test control room, and he basically shuts down the whole system, and he takes out the big bar kind of controlling the whole thing. And they say that Tess may never even be the same after he turns it back on. So yeah, so obviously Resist has got a lot of information, right? They can hack into anything that they've been working on and all that. So yeah, really dangerous stuff. And I'm wondering if now maybe Resist is going to go and try to control the gravity tractor, and that may be another player in the basically this race to control it. So yeah, definitely an interesting twist there, and I like the emotion that Darius showed here. I mean, this is kind of his baby, right? So really really tough to take, and especially Tan's Industries being hacked. They're supposed to be the ones hacking everyone else. So I thought that was an interesting little spin on things. So then Grace tells her daughter about the asteroid. Finally she decides to tell her. And I thought it was a good time to tell her, right? It's, I think she said it's just over 100 days. I think one of them said. So we started at about 180. So now we're at 100 days. So we've gone through about 80 days. So yeah. So she tells her about the asteroid, and obviously her daughter seems a little upset, but she still decides to go to Kenya for this Africa trip or something. So I don't know. I thought it was a little weird, like she knows about this asteroid now. Why wouldn't she want to, spend time with her mom and her family? Of course, she only has 100 days left. And I think the Kenya thing's only for a month though, right? So she would definitely be back before this asteroid hits. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't really get that, thinking there from her, but it is what it is. I think, she said that, there's still a point in spreading happiness and trying to help, others out. And that's true as well, right? So, Grace's dad then is taking her to the airport. And Grace is kind of just left there alone, and obviously she's very upset about her leaving, and because she just got back, right? Like, she didn't see her for a couple weeks, and now she's back, and then all of a sudden she's leaving again. So and then we saw Grace trying to act happy for her daughter when her daughter was there, but then when she left, she kind of just broke down and started crying, right? So that was a tough moment for Grace to kind of lose her daughter, especially in the situation that they're in right now with this asteroid coming, in 100 days. So yeah, definitely hard to see there. And I totally felt the emotions though from Grace in this one. I thought Jennifer Finnegan did great acting there as well to portray that. So then, kind of the biggest scene of this episode to end it off was, so it was a crazy scene, to be honest. So Amanda is about to send this big article about Samson. She's going to expose all of it, basically, or send this message, I think. I'm not sure if I think it's, posted to the Capitalized website. So then all of a sudden she's about to do this, but the alarm goes off at Capitalized, in the building. And that's pretty strange, right? Usually Amanda said, it happens every 2 weeks or something, but it's a little strange, right? So Amanda tells her boss that she's going to stay and back up her story because, this is like the story of the century, right? She coins it. So her boss then leaves and she's, starting to back it up. And then all of a sudden, this man that we saw in the car before, that was talking to Claire over the phone, he enters and she asks if he's a security guard, and he says yes. And then, like, all of a sudden, he just pulls out a gun and shoots Amanda in the shoulder, I think. It was the left shoulder or something like that. So not, a kill shot by any means, but shot her down, right? And she just, collapsed. So, obviously, like, that's a pretty big thing there. He just comes in and shoots her. And then, all of a sudden, her boss walks in. He's like, what's happening right now? He doesn't understand. And then this guy, he just shoots the boss twice. Like, just goes off on him, and then you see the blood splatter on the wall behind him. So I think he's definitely dead, right? At this point, I think it was like shots to the heart too. So he's definitely dead. And he got shot twice. So that was pretty, gruesome there to see. We don't usually see like death on the show. We haven't seen a lot of it. So like actually happen. We've heard about it, but we haven't seen it actually happen. So definitely interesting. And then the man kind of starts lighting the place on fire. He pours a bunch of gasoline over, the floor and all the papers there, and lights it on fire, and he leaves the building. So we kind of understand the whole fire alarm thing was, to disguise that there was a fire happening. And so then it would make sense that the alarm went off, the fire went off, and then these two people didn't get out of the building and they end up burning, and also their corpses would be burned as well. So there'd be no evidence. So then the surprising part is we see Amanda's bloody hand kind of reach up on the desk, and I love the way they shot this scene as well. I thought it was really great. But her hand kind of, goes up on the desk, and she's able to press enter on her keyboard and sends the message. So again, not sure if that message automatically gets posted to the website and then her article's on there, or if maybe she send the article to another newspaper outlet or a news outlet or something like that. But it's out there now with, the truth. So yeah, her basically, dying actions. I think she is gonna die here. I don't think there's a way of her getting out, but just to see her being so dedicated, so determined, and her dying breath to be able to, to press enter and send the story and get the truth out. So obviously, not good for our main characters, but I thought it was a really admirable thing to see Amanda's character, do. So yeah, I thought that was a really good end to the episode. I love the way they shot that. Didn't expect her to, get up again. So that was a cool little twist there, and she sends the message. So a lot of stuff setting up for next week's episode, guys, and I can't wait for it. Now I'll get to my rating for this one. So for this episode, yeah, I thought it was, it sets up next episode great, and I thought it was a good way to segue, into the finale, and I thought good second last episode, right? I thought it was good. Used, all the stuff that happened this season and kind of progressed us farther. So my rating for this episode is going to be a 4.6 out of 5. So yeah, I thought it was, definitely one of the better ones of the season for sure. But some of the stuff with Zoe and Dylan and, the Jillian and Liam, I obviously, I wasn't, that wasn't my favorite, but it hasn't been the whole season, right? So that didn't really change at all. But I really like the Resist storyline with the test hacking. I like the whole, President Bennett thing as well. I thought, at first I didn't know if that was a good thing that they were kind of focusing on that, but I think it is. I think it's a good storyline, and I think it's going to play out well here. I loved the way they kind of had Amanda's character this whole season, set up her, determination, dedication and all that. And they, kind of pushed it here, and she finally got answers, but then she's basically silenced as she's, presumably killed. She may still be alive, I'm not sure. But, well, Professor Croft's still alive, and he got shot in the heart, I think. So, she's probably still alive. But yeah, and that's her kind of like her dying breath sort of thing. And she, ends up getting the truth out and sending the message. So yeah, I thought that scene was really great, to see that. Obviously I'm not a big fan of the Amanda character, but after this episode, I appreciate her a little bit more, and I kind of understand where she's coming from finally. The whole rest of the season, I kind of saw her as the villain sort of character, but I really understand where she's coming from now after this episode. So yeah, really looking forward to the finale, honestly. I'm really excited for it. Like I said, I think, the last couple episodes, I think I said this in the last one, but last few episodes I haven't been, really excited for, right? I mean, yes, I'm interested, I watch them and stuff, but I'm not, there on Monday saying, oh, I'm excited for Salvation on Wednesday night, right? I just, that hasn't really been happening with me lately, but after this episode, I can say truthfully I'm really excited for next week's episode, and I think the finale is honestly going to be really, really great. So yeah, anyways, hopefully it doesn't disappoint, of course, but also I think they're going to leave a few stuff, a few cliffhangers, because it looks like this is going to get a season 2 for sure, so we'll have to see. My favorite character for this one is Grace Barrows, obviously, played by Jennifer Finnegan, and yeah, she just, her character just really, never ceases to amaze me. The way she, is able to go into this project room and shakes Bennett's hand and get all this information from Dr. Strauss's computer there. The humor in, they were talking about exhuming the body of President Mackenzie, and she said, I know a guy, and it's her dad. So I really like the way he's kind of playing a part in this season as well. I think that's pretty cool to bring his character in. Just the way she kind of acted. And I also like the sort of storyline going on here, that she's kind of done with Harris, and now Darius is kind of looking a little bit more attractive, right? And Darius obviously still has feelings for her, and I think she does have feelings for him now. So, ever since what happened in Moscow. So, yeah, I think that's a cool little love triangle thing going on there a little bit. But we'll have to see where that goes, right? We'll have to see if she ends up, getting with Darius, or or something like that, or with Harris. But I don't think that's gonna happen. I think that's pretty much done now. But anyways, yeah, I really liked her character, and Jennifer Finnegan's doing great. I saw, a lot of stuff on Twitter lately about, people have been saying this, but she actually was, pretty, like, she had a baby hump or whatever they were talking about, during this, a shooting of this episode and the finale, I think, and, maybe a couple episodes earlier. So, she's doing a great job, in her role, and, obviously, it's hard to time those things, right, with acting and all that, but, yeah, I think she's still doing a great job, in those circumstances. So I didn't even notice it in this episode. So yeah, I thought it was good. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the review of this episode. Really excited for next week's episode. I think it's going to be really good. I hope so. But we'll have to see. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching so much. Thank you for the support on my recent videos. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So we'll see you next week. One episode left, the last one of this season, for Salvation, Season 1, Episode 13.